Go ahead and start sharing. Okay, welcome to Rotary University. I think this is the second session of the series. Susan and I have both been active Rotarians for a fair number of years. Susan has been a president at a different club, and I've never been president, don't want to be, but I am very active at the district as the District Rotary Foundation chair. And there'll be a lot of things to talk about as we do get into it further. But the key idea that I want to encourage you to start with is that Rotary depends on you. What you get out of Rotary is going to be very much dependent on what you decide to put into it and what you want out of it. The history, we're over 100 years old, founded in Chicago by four guys that were really kind of new to town and wanted to begin developing relationships with people outside of their individual professions. So they kind of had rules that only one lawyer, one doctor, one contractor, one coal dealer could join Rotary. And it was a way to really build a wider network of relationships. And the idea spread very quickly. First in California, San Francisco was the second club, Oakland the third, and then all throughout the country and into Canada and around the world. The foundation came a little bit later as people realized that just networking wasn't really enough to set up a really good international organization. You needed service projects, and for that, you kind of need some money. So the foundation, given that the income tax had just been passed and you needed to be able to shelter some of your gifts from the income tax, the foundation was a natural outshoot and way to do things. Again, Rotary starts with you. So a key question is, what do you really want to get out of it? What would you like to put into it? Because Rotary depends on you and your activities and your interests to get started in doing things. You're a member of a club. All Rotarians are. There are a wide variety of different kinds of clubs. Our club, because of its size, does most of its work through committees. So I will encourage you to be active in a committee, meet with a committee. That's where you really begin to get to know the other members on more than just a very casual across the table at lunch basis. And you have an opportunity to actually begin working on projects, finding out what they are interested in and beginning to tell them what you want to do and what your interests are. Our club is identified for no particular purpose that I'm aware of as number 3735. You'll never need to know that again. That's something that's part of the overall procedures of Rotary. There are 35,000 clubs, and they do need to keep track of them one way or another. Clubs in any particular territory form districts, and the districts provide a lot of support, especially for the smaller clubs, and provide a lot of different ideas and additional resources and talents and connections that can be very useful, even to large clubs such as ours. There are a lot of things that can be done by them. Districts, in our district is 6710, and yes, I do encourage you to remember that number. It's all of Western Kentucky, but one of 535 districts in the Rotary world. Here's approximately the line. Carrollton, Owenton, Frankfort, Danville, Glasgow are all in our district, and all the way out to Clinton and Fulton on the western end of the state. Again, clubs of all sizes, some of them very big like ours. Paducah is quite large, Bowling Green is large, and others are a bit smaller. Grayson County has 10, 15 members last I saw. Clinton, I think maybe about 20, but it's all over, and they all have different projects, different things they like to work on. but they can draw strength, ideas, and some financing sometimes from other members of the district. Beyond that, the districts are grouped into Rotary zones. Our zone, there are 34 zones. Ours is number 30. Zones probably, I would think, may be a transitional form because zones tend to work together in pairs. Our zone 30 is mostly east of the Mississippi. Most of zone 31 is just west of the Mississippi. Together they call themselves the Heart of America and have a lot of training programs, such as the Rotary Leadership Institute, and a variety of seminars and events so that you can get to know more about the capabilities of Rotary and the kinds of things that you can do in Rotary and the ways you can get additional resources and additional ideas and strengths to do things together. Zone pairs, like ours with Zone 31, select a director for Rotary International. There are 17 directors elected for 2-year terms by the zone. So our director right now is from our zone. He's Floyd Lancia from Northern Indiana. Next year, our director will be from Zone 31. She's Elizabeth Yusevich, somewhere in Iowa, I think. Really good people that are really dedicated to Rotary and that can be available for programs and things that you might want to do in your club. They're happy to speak and present the ideas of clubs. Together, all around the world, we sum up to Rotary International. So again, even though there are 1.2 million of us, have been for a while, the emphasis is really your ideas, your initiative, your strengths are the things that makes Rotary run, makes it go. Rotary International helps us keep a common global identity, keeps expressing our principles and talking to us and communicating with us. They publish Rotary, the magazine, which I hope you've already started receiving and take a look at from time to time, because there are a lot of very interesting ideas and things to know in there. The Rotary International president is elected for 1 year. Our current president is from Germany. Next year's president is from India. And in 2022-23, our president will be from Canada. And for the first time, a female. And she's going to bring a lot of energy and probably a few changes to the organization. But you can see the themes and the logos for the themes that really are intended to be inspirational and help get things moving in a strong direction. And here's Jennifer, who will be our president in 2 more years and is going to really be helpful in changing things. Some of our values that are expressed, and really important, as really the world's most diverse, most international, most value-centered organization. Rotary has found it desirable to come up with a clear statement of how we feel about relating to everybody who's of goodwill and wants to work toward improved lives for all and improved peace throughout the world. Something that we'll always have in front of us to be able to keep working on. So there are a lot of things that we can do to keep making the world a little bit better place. DACdb. Yeah, we just talked about it a little bit, and you have received some information about logging in. If you have any difficulty, please contact me, rickharned@gmail.com, or I can give you my phone number. It's really very helpful. When you first log in, you'll probably come up on the home tab, on the home screen. My Club is where you can see a lot of different links that can help you find things. Find a member, any member in the club, and when you learn a little bit more about it, any member in the district and beyond. Lists of all the club members, alphabetical, and you have to go through about three or four screens of ours, because they'll list 100 members on a page. The area shows other clubs in our direct area that we work together with. Louisville Suburban. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to click that. Louisville Suburban and Southwest Louisville, Prospect Gun, and East Louisville Sunrise, all of which we can visit and connect with and learn more. You can see our club information on the calendar. Alyssa just said that she had put information about the June opportunity. I forget exactly what it was, but it sounds pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
Sounded good. And other things that are available here, including down in the second row, a list of club committees. Please look that over. Think about which clubs, which committees sound like they're mostly close to the things you want to do, and contact the chair and say, hey, tell me more about your committee. What are you doing? How can I be involved? How can I help? Tell me what's going on. The district also has these links that you can get access to. Find out about how to get a little money from the district, what's going on there. Find members anywhere, and the district calendar, including the district conference, which will be coming up at the 1st of June. And it's a good idea to find out more about what other clubs around are doing. If you want to get involved with a district committee too, affecting all of the western half of the state, that's something that can be done pretty easily. I'll be glad to get you in connection with them. Okay. The other website you need to know about is My Rotary. Rotary.org is the link. Use your website, your email address that you have already registered with, and Rotary will be able to get you linked up and registered. Do open an account on Rotary.org. Lots of things to see and learn, especially under the learning and reference area, where you use a link to what's called the Learning Center that has a lot of different courses for enhancing your skills in life, as well as your opportunities to provide leadership to the club or to the committees, or to find out what's going on. Just a lot of different information is available on Rotary.org. And as the District Rotary Foundation chair, I am always in the Rotary Foundation link, because there are lots of things going on there that I need to know about and talk about. As a matter of fact, this morning I was just on a Zoom call with the Rotary Club of Denver Southeast, talking with them about a global grant project with some Rotary friends of mine in El Salvador. And we were all on that same link together, talking about a global grant that we're still trying to raise money for. So it's something that to me is absolutely useful all the time. How do you begin to make these contacts with other Rotarians? I'm going to turn it over to Susan now and let her help you think about how do you connect, because that's the core of Rotary from the beginning.
Thanks so much, Rick. And when we were all meeting in person, it was a little bit easier. We would encourage people not to always sit at the same table with the same people, but to mix and mingle. Now, when we're online, we have a half hour before the start of the meeting. The first part of it is all of us who are on it just chatting with each other about what's new and what's happening, and any guests we might have invited. And then we have typically a Rotarian or two talking about some aspect of their work, either their work with the club or their work in the community, to help us get to know them a little bit better. You can still, even though we're all virtual, as Rick suggested, noodle around online and find a committee that sounds like it would interest you. And those committees are also meeting virtually by Zoom. And there's a whole slew of them. I happen to be particularly fond of the International Committee and the Foundation Committee of our club, but there's many more. Everything that happens in the club starts with a committee. Even the invocation and the flag salute, there's a committee that sets that all up. Another thing to do is if you're traveling, and we are starting to travel again as we get our vaccines, it's always fun to visit another club where you're traveling, even if it's here in Kentucky. And that club finder is a great way to find clubs that you can drop in on. You can drop in on them virtually now. You can find an e-club or a passport club. And those are clubs that are designed to be online all the time, even pre-pandemic. So that's another way to meet Rotarians outside our club. Fundraisers, projects, district meetings are all ways to get involved. We have one coming up at the zoo right now that's part fundraiser and part just a way to mix and mingle again and break bread together and see the wonderful exhibits that they have at the zoo, those giant fabric beings and flowers and so on. I can hardly wait. There are also groups on Facebook and on LinkedIn, Rotarian groups. And there are things called fellowships and Rotary Action Groups or RAGs. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah, I've been in Rotary since the 1980s, and I did not learn about fellowships practically until I went to my first international conference, where they have a great big friendship hall with booths set up. And almost anything that you love to do, and Rick's got some wonderful pictures of them here, there's gonna be a fellowship for it. I'm part of the International Travel and Hosting Fellowship, which is for individuals and couples who just like to meet up with other Rotarians when they travel, or host Rotarians when they travel here to Kentucky. I also happen to be a quilter, so I'm a member of the Quilting Fellowship. And there's one for wine and one for almost every alcoholic beverage you can choose. Rick, name some that you've been involved with.
I've been mostly involved with the Travel and Hosting Fellowship, where I've stayed with Rotarians in Australia and New Zealand and Argentina and Canada and made wonderful friendships throughout. But we've also had a trip with the Wine Tasting Fellowship to Mendoza, Argentina, where we visited about 10 different wineries and had a wonderful time and some beautiful meals. We had a lot of fun with it.
Let's go to the next slide. Rotary Action Groups, just as some of you are attracted to our Rotary Club because of our emphasis on service, you can match up with Rotarians worldwide and become better informed about an issue that's near and dear to your heart. Our club does a lot of water and sanitation international projects, and there's actually a group, I call it WashRag. I add an H in the middle to make it easier to pronounce. And this is, you will meet up with Rotarians who are working on water and sanitation and hygiene all over the world. And it's a great way to learn about new strategies that are being put in place, how people are addressing challenges in areas where it's difficult to get clean water to them. And it just helps you be better informed about something you already care about. Our club is also very involved in human trafficking issues. I was surprised to learn when we got into this sphere that unfortunately the Derby that's held each year here in Louisville attracts some human trafficking activity. And so we've all learned to be more alert, not only to the idea of women who are being sold into sex slavery, but workers who come to the US to pick crops and have somebody take their passport from them. And then they're at the whim of this person who is basically guarding their legitimacy to be here in the country picking crops. Endangered species, I think, is a reflection of our newest area of investment at Rotary International Foundation, and I'll get there a little later. traveling with Rotarians, in addition to just hosting one-on-one, as Rick's alluded to, in the international travel and hosting fellowship. I chair our district's Rotary Friendship Exchange group, and this matches us up with counterpart Rotary districts around the world who want to exchange a group of Rotarians and spouses or significant others for an extended visit. Pardon me, it's usually in the realm of 1 to 2 weeks, and you stay with a host family. You visit usually a mix of famous tourist sites and Rotary projects. We've had a couple of exchanges during my tenure, one to India and one to El Salvador. And unfortunately, COVID interrupted the return visits, as well as our planned visit with the North Island of New Zealand. But that team is still very much in play with New Zealand. We just keep moving it out a year. So in all likelihood, they'll be visiting us around Derby time in 2022, staying with Rotarian families, traveling around the district, and we will come visit them in November of 2022 to learn more about their district's sites and projects. Heart-to-heart trips, Rick mentioned that District 30 and 31 are the heartland of Rotary here in America. And so heart-to-heart trips are projects that we work on in Mexico, and groups of Rotarians travel down there working with orphanages. And Rick, have you been on one of those? I haven't yet.
Yes, I was on one a couple of years ago. They are always in November for about a week, visiting an awful lot of interesting projects to see the kinds of things that are being done. And there's information on the web about the heart-to-heart program under our zone pair, zones 30 and 31. They're great fun, and again, great people to travel with and meet.
And then last but not least is project fairs. Project fairs are organized by individual countries or groups of countries to attract Rotarians who are looking for international projects. Rick and I actually had the opportunity to go to the last project fair, probably before everything shut down for COVID-19, in Guatemala, and it was a Central American project fair. And we were able to meet up not only with people who are doing projects we've already funded in the past, but learn about other projects and other needs in the area. And again, connect with lots and lots of awesome Rotarians who share our commitment to service above self. The Rotary Foundation. Rick mentioned it in passing. It was set up as sort of the charitable arm of Rotary. You probably know by now that your membership dues are not deductible as a charitable donation, but any gift you make to our club's Rotary Fund or to Rotary International's Rotary Foundation is fully tax deductible under federal tax laws. The foundation is the way we gather money together and Rotarians together to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace, and improve health, support education, and work in many ways to lift people out of poverty. Next slide. Who is Paul Harris, and why does he need my money? You'll hear us beating the drum every year. You probably already heard the phrase, every Rotarian every year. We're looking for Rotarians to donate $100 a year. I don't know how many Starbucks coffees that is, but it's not a lot, to bring resources to the Rotary Foundation so that they in turn can impact lives all over the world. There's gradations, and we'll probably go into these in the next slide, I think, of levels of donation. When you give to the Rotary Foundation, and I may be getting ahead of some of the slides, there's a nifty way that it's set up. After 3 years, the funds that you've given to Rotary International's foundation, half of them come back to the district, and the other half are used for global projects and global grants and peace scholars and lots of nifty things. And you think, well, how can they do that? Where do they get the money to operate? Well, the answer is simple. They hold on to your money for 3 years, and the interest that's earned on those investments is what drives the overhead, if you will. So although we may chip in a little bit more overhead sometimes on a global grant, it's a wonderful way to make your money work and put it to work so that your actual gift is going back through to an intended purpose. Paul Harris Fellows, you may see people wearing the little round thing with that guy's profile in it on their club lapels when we get back to meeting in person. That just means that they've given $1,000 or more, or multiples of $1,000. You get little gems in them as you give more and more. But 100, you may get to 1,000 by giving $100 a year for 10 years. You may give it in one fell swoop. You may give it in any variety. Right now, we've got a challenge going for Rotarians who are getting close to $1,000, where other Rotarians are providing match to bring them over the top to make them a Paul Harris Fellow or a next level Paul Harris Fellow. Paul Harris Society folks are people who've pledged $1,000 per year, which when you think about it, it's $84 a month. I am a member of the Paul Harris Society. I have one of those little banners that looks like I went to a public high school attached to my Paul Harris pin. And I do it on my credit card through Rotary Direct, and you hardly even notice it. So that's another way to help fund the good works of Rotarians in our club and all the clubs around the world. Arch Club Society is for the heavy hitters who make cumulative contributions of $250,000 or more to Rotary. Some of those are made in people's wills, which again is, I guess, painless to the individual, but awesome in terms of the good that it does for Rotary worldwide. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, as I said, they use these funds to be the engine, be the financial engine of all the good works that we're doing. They fund the humanitarian projects. And these, I think it's important to remember, these are local service projects as well as global initiatives, because that half of the funds that comes back to your district and becomes district designated funds can be used not only to match great big global grants, but they can be used for modest grants here in our district to create a park, to create a garden, to rehab a facility. There's lots of exciting things that we're doing locally with those funds. And also, I guess a small example, we are working to fund a water project that needs an engineering study before the project itself can be pitched as a global grant to Rotary International. And so we're taking club money and district money to put it together to come up with the $20,000 that's needed for a heavy duty engineering project to learn the feasibility before we begin that important effort. And I know it's probably in a future slide too, but one of the things that I respect hugely at Rotary Foundation as a former foundation director myself is the accountability that they call for. There needs to be Rotarian involvement. There needs to be the due diligence of a community assessment before a global grant is funded. So it's, I think there's one more item on the last slide. We're zipping through. Is that a hit?
Yeah, good. Quick on the trigger there.
Okay. And an important thing that Rotary International does and has been doing, it's what drew me into the club, is the worldwide effort to eradicate polio and to promote peace. We are, as we like to say, this close to eradicating polio worldwide. There's only 2 countries left. I think it's Afghanistan and Pakistan, where we still have wild polio virus putting our children at risk. And something that was very meaningful to me was to be able to go on a polio immunization day trip. Mine was to Ghana. And you actually get to put polio vaccine drops in babies' mouths and have a very hands-on experience of the good work that Rotary is doing to wipe out this disease. Next slide, I'm ready now. As I talk to you, you know, the magic of the money, 50 cents comes back to our district after 3 years. You can support projects, club projects with district grants. Clubs and the district can sponsor great big global grants. I think the smallest they provide for is $30,000. So you can imagine it's going to take money, often from several clubs and several districts, to get to that level where the Rotary Fund, International Fund Foundation will then match and get you to your 30,000. Interest on the funds is what pays for administration. Where does the rest of the money go besides the district grants and global grants? The Peace Scholars, and our club is actually nominated 2, maybe 3 by now. Eradicating polio, global grants, and Charity Navigator is something that a lot of people turn to figure out if the charity that they're investing in is a responsibly run one. And Rotary always gets top marks from Charity Navigator on their accountability, their transparency, and their management of your finances. Thanks. Next slide. Okay, there's a whole slew of things that global grants will fund and stuff they won't fund. But let's talk first about what they will fund. Humanitarian projects, scholarships, vocational teams, peace building and conflict prevention, disease prevention and treatment. Again, this is not just polio. There's Rotarians working on malaria. There's been Rotarians working on AIDS. This is an important area for us. Water, sanitation, and hygiene. I've already mentioned that our own club is very involved in that. Maternal and child health, strategies for getting moms access to care, assuring a safe prenatal period, reducing infant mortality, a lot of health education, as well as access to care. And then basic education and literacy, because one of the best tools for lifting people out of poverty is giving them access to education and literacy. And this was an eye-opener to me when I visited Ghana, for example, and I learned that the government provides the teacher, period. The community had to provide the building. The community has to provide any textbooks, any blackboards, globes, anything you might see in a normal American classroom. There are countries all over the world where communities are struggling to get the tools they need to promote literacy in their children. Our club helped support a project along with the district to our east here in Kentucky to bring solar power to schools in southern India so that they could teach literacy classes to parents at night when otherwise they wouldn't have had any source of light, so that literate parents can help literate children and lift up a community. Community economic development is another area that global grants support. Our own club has been working with a group called Mayan Power and Light, which is helping women in rural Guatemala learn how to install and maintain solar panels. So they have a career and it brings a source of light, literally and economically, to the community. Just added, this is very new, this is our 7th area of focus, is supporting the environment. And starting in July of 2021, we'll be able to submit global grants that support environmental preservation projects. There's stuff we don't fund. I mean, we were surprised to learn For example, when we were wanting to build toilets and put a new roof on a school there in Ghana, Rotary was fine with building the toilets, but they wouldn't support putting the roof on the school. And so our club raised money at that time. I was in a different club at that time to actually put the roof on the school itself. Next slide. District grants help support our local projects. You probably know now about the wonderful work we're doing mentoring kids at Iroquois and Western high schools. We built a natural playground for toddlers at St. Benedict Child Care. Could go on and on about the projects we've done locally. And pardon me, our global grants, I already mentioned equipping a school in India, helping right now with a children's cancer clinic in Uruguay. Another example of the wonders of Rotary to Rotary contact. We supported a project in a rural area of Argentina that helped them test mother's milk, breast milk, that was being donated by villagers to feed neonates in a neonatal intensive care unit when the mother was not able to provide milk. And so a little thing like that, sort of knowing exactly where to put the screwdriver to make very positive change in the community that comes out of the relationship building that's so key to Rotary. Up there in the upper right corner of that last slide was a picture. Actually, both of those were pictures of our Rotary Friendship Exchange group that went to Northern India, and we wound up providing support to a preschool there for what my grandma would have called street urchins, kids who were playing in the street because their parents weren't able to supervise them. They were away at work, and this armed these kids with the alphabet and numbers and songs and information about India's history that would, with the aim of putting them on an equal footing with other kids when they entered the public school system. Now I'm ready for the next slide. Okay, a lot of hygiene and water and sanitation projects. We had a chance to visit one of these when we did the Rotary Friendship Exchange in El Salvador. And it combines putting in new facilities with educating people on how to use those facilities, how to wash their hands, how to avoid spreading germs. Anything more you'd like to say about that, Rick? It's really been your baby.
Yes, and we're working on the next phase at 7 more schools now, which was the reason I was talking to the Southeast Denver Club this morning. And at the end of the month, we'll talk to a club in Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada. So,
and we call it Toileton, which means great big toilet. And if you ever see my Facebook page, you'll see that I'm surrounded by lovely ladies in toilet hats who are celebrating this project.
They're doing a great job down there.
Yeah. So I know we've talked a lot at you. We'd like to ask each one of you, what's something you learned today about Rotary International that you didn't know before? I'm going to turn on to gallery so I can see everybody. Just unmute yourself and shout
out. I didn't really know much at all about Rotary before I went to the meeting last week. And then for this presentation, I saw all the different types of things that you're involved in and how all the different districts work. So definitely learned a lot today. Thank you.
Thank you. Molly, you've been in Rotary before. Was there anything new to you today?
I have been in Rotary before, but I did not know about the fellowships. That's not something we really explored or talked about in our club. So that was exciting to me. I love to travel, and of course I love wine. So my ears perked right up.
Combine those two things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so that was great. Great to learn more about that.
Nicole, I don't see her. Did you drop off? Did she drop off, Alyssa?
Seems to have, yeah.
Yeah, she said she had to go to another meeting.
Okay, well, it's just us folks then. Anything you'd like to say in conclusion, Rick?
I was going to bring up one more slide here, I think.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's right, homework.
Homework. So when you get a chance, call one of your classmates. Again, you can contact each other by sharing email addresses or phones now. You can reach out through DACdb and meet other members of the club. Doesn't have to be a classmate. You can. We old hands are happy to talk to you as well and learn more about you and what you want to do.
Yeah, if I can interject, sometimes another member on a Zoom call will mention something that piques your interest and you want to follow up offline. DACdb is a great way to find out how to connect with them and continue the conversation. But by all means, do create an account on Rotary.org. And if the spirit moves you, donate through Rotary Direct.
Or just allow Alyssa to add $25 a quarter to your dues statement. That's always totally voluntary, but again, it really makes a difference in making Rotary the international powerhouse organization that it really is.
And as you get more involved with committees and they'll be grumbling and saying, we'd love to do that, but we don't have enough money. Well, hey, the money in is the money out. And that's how you keep the engine going. Also on Rotary.org, you can find those discussion groups. You can go to a learning center course. For example, if you're writing your first global grant proposal and you're freaked out about it, not only is Rick a huge resource locally, but there's lots of online guidance about how to do the community assessment before you do a global grant and how you do the grant itself. And fellowships, wine, travel, what more can I say?
The whole list is there. Find the whole list. Okay.
Okay, we're going to stop the show. And thank you both very much for taking time in the middle of your day. I'm sorry we couldn't serve you lunch to learn a bit more about how our club fits into the greater scheme of Rotary International. Thank you.
Any more questions or things you'd like to say or no?
Just thanks.
Yeah, thanks for presenting for us, and we'll think it over.
Talk
Thank
to
you.
us, keep it going. Okay.
All right.
All right, take care, have fun. Hope to see you again soon. Hopefully at a lunch meeting.
That day will come.
That day will come. Thank you, Alyssa, for keeping things moving.
No problem. Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.